Okay, so we want to create a dynamic route under our product, right? Under our product directory or product route, we want to create a dynamic route. So we have to go to our project and we have to enter a new file. And that's the mistake I made. I entered a folder. It will be actually a file. We have to enter the bracket and let's say id.js. Okay, so id. All right. Okay, so now we have our dynamic route, right? It is showing dynamic. So that's how you render dynamic web pages. If you want to render anything dynamic under your product folder, you have to name it with a bracket notation, right? Bracket notation, and whatever you say inside the ID, you will get those actually as params in your dynamic website. So I'm going to show you those later, so don't worry about that. So that is the basic structure of your folder structure and your routing. So I'm going to just delete this. Okay. Okay. So now you know how to set up the routes dynamically or normal routes in your web application, and we will learn everything catch-all route and nested routes, everything throughout the courses. But how do you set up a project professionally? Like you are working as a professional web developer, how do you set up your project? So you have to structure everything with different folders and with conventional namings, and you have to maintain a industry standard, right? So inside our pages, we are going to keep everything related to our pages, or every pages will be here. So you should not render any components or anything under your pages folder, right? So if you want to render a page, then go to your pages router. If you have any styles, go to your styles folder. So you also need component, right? So let's create a component folder, components. Okay, so you have components. So I'm not going to populate these folders now. I'm just going to create the structure. Okay. So you might have dynamic layouts, right? So for layouts, let's create another folder for layouts. Okay. So then you might have some utility functions, right? You want to use throughout your projects. So let's name it utils. Then we are also going to use Redux to maintain our states, right? So let's create a folder for that too. Okay, not under that, Redux, right? Uh, okay. So if you want to handle any library or any kind of library data, then we can name and another folder called lib. Okay, so now we have got our basic folder structure, right? So we are going to keep everything separated with different folders. We do not want to populate our pages folder with components or any other data. Only page related data or only pages should be inside your pages folder. Okay, your components should only contain your components. Your utility function should only contain your utilities. So okay, so let's go back to our UI again. Let's go back to our home page. Okay, what happened there? So this is our homepage, right? So if we go to our UI design, okay, so this is our homepage. So uh, let's look at our layout first before starting to design or starting to develop our project. You should always check out your design, your UI design, and predefine the structure you are going to use, how you are going to structure your web applications, what layouts you are going to use. So as you can see, we have our home page, right? So we have our home page, we have our product details page, we have our login and registration page. So each of these folders, as you can see, each of these pages contain these two common components, our header and our footer, right? So if we want to render everything or render all of these in our pages, like we want to render everything inside each page, then when we develop our home page, we have to render these two components there. When we when we render our go to our product detail page, we have to render these two here. Then we go to our login page, registration page. So we have to render all of these separately, right? So we do not want to do that. We want to create a layout. That means we want to keep the common components or common designs or UI sections that are commonly used by multiple pages. We want to render them from one place, right? So that's why we want to use a layout. So let's go back to our application. So inside layout, I'm going to create a file named main layout. Okay, JSX. Okay, so we are going to return JSX. So all right, let's create a component. All right. So this is our main layout, right? So how do we render everything in a common page or common component so that every page will have access to these two sections, right? So we can say we want to get the children that we are going to render inside main layout, right? So how do we get the children in React? We use the children prop, right? We use the children prompt, and if we just simply render the children prop here, if we simply render the children prop from here, so everything under your main layout will be rendered like however it is rendered by default. So if we do not use the children layout, so everything inside the main layout, whatever we enter inside the main layout won't work. So you have to enter get the children prop from your component, and then you have to render it in your UI if you want to use it as a layout, right? So why did I do that? So let's go back to our pages and let's go back to our app.js, right? So this app.js file is actually wrapping up all of our pages, right? So what we can do is we can cut this and we can import our main layout here. Okay, main layout, and we can paste it here. So what this does is now our main layout will get everything that we render inside our main layout from here, right? This component, that means the name is component. We will get this inside our children props, right? So we can just simply render it there. So now it is doing nothing. It should render as it was previously. So if we go back to our UI and reload, as you can see, nothing has changed, right? Now, okay, let's go back to our code. Now, if we go to our main layout and before we render our children prop, let's say div, this is our navbar, right? So this is the navbar. So now as you can see, we have already added this navbar. So what I'm doing is I am taking every children that we render inside our main props and I am rendering them like the normal way, but before entering them I am adding some other components. I can add some other components before and after our main children. That means the components that are going to render inside our main layout, right? So now whenever our component, our page prop changes, that means our page component or our pages will change, but as we rendered inside our main layout, the everything other than our children prop won't change. So this data will be rendered or shared throughout our each pages. So let me show you how it works inside our pages. Let's say again product and then enter a index.jsx file. Okay, so if we go to our UI again, so as you can see inside our product page, we have that element, right? This is the element that we are rendering above our children. So now inside of this element, we can actually start designing our navbar and render it throughout our pages, right? Okay, so let's delete that pages product folder again.